Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League Matchday 5. Our favorite games on Thursday will be analyzed by our dream team, Dani Fisichella Alvaro Romeo, as always ready with all the information about Haken, about Molde, Qarabag, Toulouse, Union Saint-Gilloise. Every team in Europe in this Europa League, very interesting this season. So guys, remember to follow with us the video. Of course, press the like, subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. And also remember that we have an exclusive offer with 1xBet, so grab the welcome bonus of 130%. Use the promo code. We have the link in the description in case you want to grab this great offer. Well, guys, let's start in Group A. Here we have West Ham almost qualified. They are traveling to Serbia to play Baka Topola. We expect them to win. The odds are very low, 1.3, and we are going to focus in the game we have in the beautiful city of Freiburg against Olympiakos. Freiburg top in this group with also 9 points. Olympiakos, they have to go to Germany and win. Alvaro knows a lot about the Greek league, and we have Olympiakos in the second spot. They screw it up, Alvaro, when they lost at home against Freiburg. I'm talking about Olympiakos.
Yeah, well, Olympiakos in the third spot.
Third, yeah.
Third, yeah, and they need a win because otherwise they are out.
No, I said sorry. Second in the Greek league, third in the Europa League.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So yeah, they need a win because in the Europa League, if they don't win this game, they are out. And I think that the Europa League, the Conference League, could be a possibility for Olympiakos if the worst happens. If they draw and Akatopola loses, the Greeks will qualify for the Conference League. They started the competition, the Europa League, okay. They beat West Ham, for example. They are second in their league. For them, obviously, winning the league is a must. But they are second. They are still there in the mix, in the fight. They got a good manager like Diego Martinez, who reached the Europa League quarterfinals in 2021. You will remember with Granada. But they can be out by Matchday 5 if they don't win, which is quite disappointing. On the other hand, they are playing in a difficult group. I understand that. They depend a lot on a couple of players, El Kaabi and Fortounis, who have scored 10 and 8 goals respectively. El Kaabi was the player of the Greek league in August, I think, but they haven't had enough to compete so far in the Europa League, whereas Freiburg, well, they've got contradictory numbers overall. They are through with a draw, that's for sure. So maybe I can drop here my first odd, a double chance for Olympiakos pays 2.0, and it will be good for Freiburg because Freiburg are through with a draw, but probably they want to top the group. But anyway, Freiburg has strange numbers because if we isolate the Europa League, we can say that they have been a very prolific side. They average 3 goals per game in the group of death or one of the groups of death, which is really good. And they are the joint top scorers of the tournament, altogether with Liverpool and Leverkusen, with 12 goals, which is incredible, really. However, you go to the Bundesliga, and they have scored only 15 goals. They are literally as well in the middle of the German table. They are sitting 9th right now. And in the Bundesliga, they've been just one more side. And in the Europa League, they've been really good, probably excelling everyone's expectations. And a footballer like Vincenzo Grifo with 4 goals has been phenomenal. He's the top scorer of the competition, altogether with Joao Pedro, and he scored a 24-minute hat-trick against Taka Topola, but still a bit strange what Freiburg is doing. However, I think that a double chance for Olympiakos is something that I flag, but I don't back. But Freiburg can do with a draw as much as Olympiakos, really. But in this case, both teams to score 173 sounds to me like a logical one, because in the Europa League, we average 2.99 goals per game, and I think that this game can have goals as well. Otherwise, over 2.5 goals, 176. Goals market, basically.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of goals in Freiburg games, especially in the Bundesliga, but also in the Europa League. We don't have to forget, Dani, that Freiburg were this close to play the Champions League this season because they were fighting until the very last game with Union Berlin.
That's true, and they carried that form into the Europa League, but it's very strange for them to score so few goals in Bundesliga, which is a high-scoring league. All the games in Bundesliga, most of them are over 2.5 goals. Only 3 wins for Freiburg in the last 8, and twice 2 of those 2 wins were against Bashka Topola and against Bochum. So they are in a bad moment, but maybe the Europa League is a little bit an escape for them, is a little bit like an El Dorado. Sometimes it happens for some teams that they go to Europe and they found themselves and they know that the games have got a different feel, and that could be the same. But there are other teams we're going to talk about that they are in the same situation. No wins in 4 in the Bundesliga for the first time in 3 years. But yes, Vincenzo Grifo, Salai, these are good players, I would say, that probably gonna do the job. But when it comes from the Greek perspective, no wins in 8 away games in Europe. They won at the weekend, but they lost 3 to the reverse fixtures, and that's really what's gonna cost them. Against West Ham, they were not too bad. They got undone by West Ham, better quality, with Paqueta scoring a beautiful goal in the second half. Conceded 2 goals against Bachka Topola, who is namely the weakest team in the group, but careful with the Serbian. They beat Partizan 4-0 away this weekend. So that was a statement win. I think it's a goals game as well. Over 275 goals, 190 last time I checked. It might have dropped down a little bit, as bettors probably think it's going to be a goals game as well.
Vincenzo Grifo, by the way, he's an Italian citizen, but he was
in and
born
out.
in Germany.
I know, he's in and out. Is a bit of like, he's been called many times by Mancini, maybe once by Spalletti, but it's like a fetiche, It's like this player that no one really knows in Italy what he's about. Yeah. He pops into the squad. We haven't really seen him. Yeah.
Welcome to Italian football, my friend. Retegui, Nonto, very soon Coleoso as well. Yes, will probably be playing for Italy.
Yes,
Italy is looking for players everywhere. Even not Italian borns.
No, that's true. That's true. And I think he's a good scout. Coleosho is a product of the American football system, but yeah, of course, Italian citizen.
Italian under 21.
Plays with Italy 21. Gnonto, senior in Italy 21. Retegui, I think it was a little bit of a desperate move for Mancini, although he scored 3 goals so far, 4 goals so far in Serie A. We'll see.
Messi led the way.
Grifo played his whole career in Germany, especially in Hoffenheim, and now in Freiburg. He's been in and out from Hoffenheim and Freiburg, and finding his way in the German football. So last game in this group will be West Ham Freiburg, probably with both teams already in the next round. Let's see if Olympiakos are able to grab a victory in Germany, and then everything will be open. In Group B is also very interesting one. This is the group of death. In the Europa League, we have Marseille with 8 points. We will talk about them a little bit later, because the first game we are going to analyze is AEK against Brighton. Everything is open, but Brighton will be very happy with a draw. AEK, they need the victory because they lost the last game. They lost both games against Olympique Marseille. The biggest surprise actually of this Europa League, or one of the biggest surprise, Dani, was the game in Brighton, where AEK was able to grab the victory. Surprise us all.
Yes, and they took the chances really, really well. Have a very good game plan. Exploited. Brighton always gives you a bit of space. And AEK are in a good moment. They won 1-0 at the weekend against Giannina. Dominated, by the way. Maybe the score sheet doesn't reflect how well they played. Only 1 point behind the leaders in Greece. They don't score many, though. And I would like to know why Alvaro thinks is that. They scored only 22 goals domestically. Panathinaikos scored 10 goals more. No clean sheet so far in Europe for AEK. Recently, they beat PAOK 2-0, but they also tend to concede. They concede against Panathinaikos, they conceded against Olympiakos. They're a very competitive side, managed by El Pelado Almeida, but they need a win here for sure. And their Europa League records are awful. No wins in 14 home games in the Europa League, and that's the longest win streak in the competition for AEK and for any other team. So maybe they are due a win, and it is a team that takes some risks. At the back, they are not extremely sound. They've already given away 5 penalties in the competition, but here comes Brighton, who is a team that leaves you a lot of chances as well, scores as well, and so far in Brighton's games in all competition have been scored 51 goals. No Premier League team has seen more goals scored in their games for and against. So often an over 2.5 goals, sometimes even an over 3 goals. But credit to Brighton for going to Forest, winning there. Forest haven't lost a single game so far this season at home. So a very positive display. But both last 17 Premier League games, both to scored and conceded. So again, you have to look at both to score over 2.5 goals. I think the 2-0 win at Ajax, that was a freak result. Only kept one clean sheet in the last 9 matches so far. Brighton, that, by the way, are affected by many injuries. No Mitoma, no Milner, no Estupinian, Fati, Lamte, Welbeck, March, Dahoud, Webster. They're all going to be missing. Check the lineup, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to be there. I'm going to go for AEK here with an Asian handicap 0.75, 174. If they lose by 1 goal margin, you only lose half a stake.
Well, once upon a time, Alvaro, you told me that you were a big fan of this Brighton. I don't know if you changed your opinion in these last months where they are not getting the great results that they were getting at the beginning of the season.
Not at all. I think that Brighton honors the Premier League. It's good for the Premier League to have a team like Brighton. They were always going to suffer being in 2 competitions. This is the first time that Brighton plays in Europe, and they have beaten Ajax twice. I mean, they have beaten Ajax twice. A team that, the 6-7 seasons ago, they were in the Championship and they hadn't played in the top flight until they got promoted since 1983, I believe. So, no. I think that Brighton is in a great moment. The signing of the Chervi improved the team over what it was with Graham Potter. And the problem with Brighton is that they are going through an injury ordeal, especially up front. I mean, Ansu Fati has been the last one to pick an injury. And Ansu Fati, it's a real shame because he was showing a great understanding with Adingra, especially in the game against Ajax. I mean, they assist each other in each other's goal as well. But yeah, Brighton is suffering from that. And, the number of players out, it's incredible, really. And in the Premier League this weekend, Lewis Dunk is going to be out as well because he got a straight red. So, the numbers that Daniele broke down are interesting for me because Brighton in the Premier League has had 17 games straight both teams to score.
Yep.
So both teams to score here, 162 is an interesting one too, that's for sure. And answering to Daniele's question about AEK Athens, I mean, one thing happened to them. They are not scoring goals because many individuals are below par, really. And Rabat, for example, has scored only 2 goals, and he knows how to score in Greece. 2 goals so far domestically this season. And then to find their best scorer in the competition, you have to go a few spots climbing in the scoring chart, and you will find Zuber only with 4, and that is the top scorer of AEK in the Greek Super League this season. Loren Moron, for example, the top scorer of a Greek Super League, is not a super striker. He's not a super striker, and he's got 3 more goals than the best scorer of the one of what is supposed to be one of the best Greek teams. And on top of that, at home in the Europa League, they haven't been convincing. They got only 1 point out of 6. And Antwerp, from all the sides, Antwerp beat them in the Champions League qualifiers. Antwerp is the worst defense in the Champions League. So, that gives you a little bit of a hint. That's why I'm going to back Brighton, contrary to Daniele. Both teams to score is right, and is nice, and I think that Daniele and I can agree more or less that over there can be a chance to make a little bit of money, not a lot, a little bit. But I like the Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Brighton and Hove Albion. They are through with a win. I know that. They will try to win, for sure. They got casualties. That's something we have spoken about. But an Asian handicap minus 0.25, meaning that if they draw, you suffer, have a lose, and if they win, you win, it pays 172. I think that the money is pretty good.
All right. In the last match day, Brighton play against Olympique Marseille, but both teams could be qualified at the end of this match day 5 because Marseille, they play at home against Ajax. Marseille, as Dani said, they find happiness in Europe. Is their El Dorado because in Ligue 1, they've been struggling 1-1 in the last game against Strasbourg. No victories in the last 4, but in Europe, as I said, Alvaro, they beat both AEK in both games. And now they are playing against Ajax, that they are climbing spots, getting little by little better, getting closer to the European spots, but they have to win here if they want to be alive in the last match day.
I know, but Ajax will have to climb a lot, especially domestically, because they are climbing, and if you check the table, they are in a more honorable position than they were 2 months ago. But they have still, I think, at 15 points only, almost nothing. The table in the Eredivisie is a little bit deceptive. They are only 3 points away from relegation. They have to keep on climbing, but they have improved. And in the weekend, Ajax beat Betis 5-0. A player who has been scoring a lot of goals lately is Chuba Akpom. He scored 28 goals in the championship last season, and he's rediscovering his form. So him to score here pays for 4.0. Let's see if he starts. I'm not recommending that, but the truth is that from all the scorers from each side, the best value probably is on Akpom, and Akpom is scoring lately. So I think that I have to tell you. Ajax only 1 win away this season against Ludogorets. However, 3 wins in the last 5, so the improvement is there, but away from home, they haven't been able yet to go the extra mile. And when it comes to Olympique Marseille, well, they will be in the top 2 with a win, that's for sure. And if they draw and AEK doesn't beat Brighton, they'll be through too, which is pretty reassuring for them. The results have been a jumble. I totally agree with you guys. At home, however, they have only suffered 1 defeat this season. The problem is that they've been drawing at home a lot. A couple of players stand out in the Europa League. Jonathan Klaus and Amin Agit with 3 assists each. So maybe these guys providing an assist can get a good value as well. But my approach here is that I think that Marseille are going to qualify. Maybe they win this game, but I can handicap Ajax with a positive 1. Asian handicap plus 1.25 for Ajax, considering that they are little by little recovering, pays 166. And I like this one. I think that Ajax can perhaps not lose heavily here. If they draw, you win. If they win, you win. And if they lose by 1, you get half a win. Not too bad.
Dani, Italian managers in the League One, so far they are not doing great. Grosso.
Well, Farioli's second.
Well, yeah,
Farioli's second. Best defense
second.
in Europe, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. But the other 2, Grosso and Gattuso, they are not doing great.
The most famous ones, the 2 world champions not doing one, and Farioli, who's got a degree in philosophy, is doing better than Gattuso. Gattuso, who at the weekend after they drew 1-1 against Strasbourg, said we were rubbish. Master of diplomacy there, Gattuso, but probably is right. They're 12 in La Liga, with -1 goal difference. But to be fair, Strasbourg goalkeeper was the man of the match, so maybe they could have won that. Everything plays up for Olympique Marseille because they've done the job well against AEK Athens. So if they draw and AEK doesn't beat Brighton, they do qualify. But yes, this is similar to Freiburg. They scored 10 goals in Europa League, and in domestically, they scored 13. So really, there is something not going really well. They only won 2 of the last 6 and only collected 7 points in the last 9 League One games. So it's the home form they need to improve for a side that in the summer thought they were going to be in the Champions League, lost on penalties against Panathinaikos, if I'm not wrong. Ajax, by the way, turned around by Johnny Van Schip. He came in and they got 3 wins and 1 draw. So they are no longer relegation material. They were never going to go down. They're probably going to finish mid-table. They are 8th, a positive goal difference. And, probably that was what they needed, someone who knows the club with a little bit more of experience. Van Schip has done the job around Europe. He also managed Greece. He wasn't too bad there. And the problem for Ajax is that even with 2 wins here in this group, they probably won't qualify, but they might go to the Conference League, which will not be a bad idea for this young group of players. I can see goals here, over 3 goals, 196.
Very interesting group. This one, Group B, goals in your opinion in the Velodrome. Let's jump to Group C. Here we have Betis on top with 9 points, still fighting with Rangers and Sparta Prague. Betis traveling to Czech Republic, and Betis in great form in La Liga. Actually, is one of the best teams so far. They are 7th. They have a great run right now, 6 victories and 1 draw, unbeaten in 13 games since they visited the Rangers. Actually, a draw, Álvaro, would be good enough for Professor Pellegrini, ingeniero. Engineer.
El ingeniero, yeah. A double chance for Betis, 155, by the way. Okay,
okay.
kind of a safe bet, isn't it? They are playing away, of course, and I am totally aware that they are playing against a good Czech side. In fact, the leader of the Czech league, they haven't lost domestically this season. And Sparta Prague, they have to attack because they are out with a defeat or even with a draw if Rangers gets a point against Aris Limassol, which is quite a possibility, isn't it? So I think that Betis is going through a very good moment. 13 games unbeaten, which is equaling the best run of Pellegrini as Betis manager. I was listening the other day to one statsman in Spain, Pedrito Martin, and he was saying that Betis, since Pellegrini arrived at Sevilla, has gotten more points than Sevilla in the league. So since 2019 onwards, which is okay, considering that Sevilla won the Europa League. The thing is that Sevilla, when they win a title, suddenly Betis' season looks like a terrible one. But it hasn't been like this. Pellegrini has qualified Betis for Europe all the seasons, and I think that Betis are showing a couple of really good things. Number one, the central channel is phenomenal, in my opinion, with Petzela, Guido Rodriguez, William Carvalho. Two of these three are world champions, by the way, Isco and William José. I think that the backbone of the team is really good. William José is not a spring chicken, but he has found the second youth at Betis. Isco is playing really well. And on top of that, Fekir is coming back. Fekir is playing minutes already. And Fekir, last season, was the best player of Betis until he picked an injury. You know, so they have corrected their finances a little bit. They have to sell Canales. They have to sell Juanmi. But even selling these players in order to abide with the financial rules of La Liga, they are still competitive. And they are playing very well. And the other day against Las Palmas, I think they didn't deserve to win, but I think that Betis has the character and also the speed that didn't have in the past with players like Ayoce Perez or Asan Diao or even Hector Bellerin. So I think that Betis is going to be not a candidate to win the Europa League, but is definitely the candidate to win this game. I have no doubt about it. So I'm going to go for a double chance for Betis. That will be a very safe one, but I'm happy with the draw no bet for Betis. 204. The money is excellent. Or otherwise, Betis to win, that I am more than ready to do as well, 290. But a draw no bet for Betis, I'm going to stay in the middle between the double chance and the win. Draw no bet for Betis, 204.
The problem with Betis, Dani, is that usually they are disappointing in the big games. It happens in La Liga, and they haven't done great things in Europe yet.
No, that's true. But last season, I remember they beat Roma. They give them a very good game at the Benito Villamarín. And so far this season, they only lost to Rangers in Glasgow, which can happen, Barcelona and Athletic Bilbao. So, you know, against three
That's
difficult oppositions. See, that's the only defeats. And, you know, I think it's a very respectable CV. And I read another stats about Betis. They are first in La Liga for passes forward. They always look to break. They are always on the move. And often the first pass is a pass forward. So it is a team that's got speed, that's got pace, and they always try to break you. The problem is that they're going to play a Sparta Prague side that are unbeaten this season at home. They are top of the league in the Czech Republic. They scored 40 goals in 16 games. But lost 5 of the last 8 in the Europa League and only kept 1 clean sheet so far in Europe against Rangers 0-0. So that's going to be the issue. Betis doesn't necessarily need to get the 3 points, but I love the Asian handicap 0, the draw no bet 0 for the Spanish side, 204. If there is a moment to get on to Betis, I think that's the one.
All right. In this group, we also have Glasgow Rangers, Aris Limassol. If Rangers win, they will be qualified. And in the last match day, we have Betis Rangers for the first spot. As we want always to remind you, very important to get in the first spot because you will skip the playoff against a Champions League team. And in Group D, Atalanta and Sporting, they play for it, for the first spot. Well, Sporting, they still need to qualify because Sturm with 4 points. They still have some options. Dani, Atalanta, they lost at the weekend against Napoli, the second defeat at home. But in the Europa League, they are doing a great job. They even beat Sporting away. And there are great odds, in my opinion, to back this Atalanta with 2.2.
There are, but I'm not sure this is going to be an easy one for Atalanta, who are negotiating the two competitions really, really well. They are winless in 3 Serie A games, but against Napoli, I think they were particularly unlucky. Napoli played well in the first half, and you can tell the change of manager freed them up a little bit, and they seem much more creative. But in the second half, it was all Atalanta. They equalized, had a goal ruled out for offside, conceded a goal by a stupid mistake by the goalkeeper Carnesecchi, but really, Napoli were pinned back. Strange choice from Gasperini to leave on the bench Scamacca and start with De Ketelaere and Lookman and also Muriel on the bench. I think Scamacca looked a little bit more sharp, at least in the league, not what we've seen with the national side. Atalanta so far at home they've been good. They only conceded 2 goals in 3 home games: Napoli, Inter, and Sturm Graz. So they've been solid, but they've done the job really well away from home. Now, Sporting, as we mentioned in our videos about the Champions League, there is the Taca de Portugal factor. They won 8-0 against Dumiense, 3rd division team, by the way. So I think that helps. If you, after the international break, if you play the Taca de Portugal, for sure you're going to get into the European games a little bit more rested. Let's see what happens. But I got my theory that club in Portugal are going to have a slightly advantage. By the way, they're doing well domestically. They are level with Benfica, who they lost in stoppage time before the international break. But that was only the 2nd defeat in the entire season, considering also the one against Atalanta in the reverse fixtures. Bad omen for Sporting, who never won in Italy. They play 16 games, never won there. But Atalanta are very competitive in the Europa League. Some people still consider them a new team, but actually no, they've been in Europe already 5-6 seasons, also a couple of seasons in the Champions League. They only lost 2 out of the 18 games in the Europa League. So they're becoming a European force under Gasperini. Having said that, probably the draw for me is the most likely result, and I like the Asian handicap plus 0.25 for Sporting, which pays 205. If it's a draw, you win half a stake.
It's good to be covered with a draw. Sporting will need also a draw, probably, Alvaro, in the last match day against Sturm Graz to be in the next round if they don't win in Bergamo, which is hard, of course.
Yeah, well, Atalanta is through. With a draw, they are first. And when it comes to Sporting Club de Portugal, they are through if they improve a Sturm Graz result. And if not, a draw against Sturm Graz in José Albalade in the last week of the competition will do for them. So they are in a good position. Them both are in a good position. And Daniele was referring to Gasperini and his project, and it's true. Atalanta and Sporting Club de Portugal, they are 2 very stable sides. They've been with the same manager, Rubén Amorim. We all recognize Rubén Amorim as the Sporting Club de Portugal manager. Same thing with Gasperini. They are 2 of the most stable projects in Europe. I think we can say that, at least from the sides that play in European football. I cannot think of many more. Manchester City, obviously, Liverpool, obviously, but so many more that they have used the same manager for so many years. And, Atalanta is still showing their attacking mind. Even in the Europa League, they have done it this season, 71 attempts. They are second in this aspect. In the Serie A, obviously, they will find it difficult to qualify for the Champions League again because some teams over the last 2-3 years, they have invested heavily, especially Roma 2 seasons ago. And Sporting, second in the league. As Daniel said, they had a goal feast in the Taça de Portugal in the weekend.
Taça.
Then they got...
Very important to say Taça.
Taça. No, not important at all. Maybe it's the important thing is that they've got a couple of players who are scoring goals, and that points me in the goals market. For example, there is the Swedish striker Gyökeres, in 15 games with the team, he has scored 13 goals and provided 4 assists. Then we know the quality of Marcus Edwards as well. In defense, Sebastián Coates, his guarantee of at least solidity. I think that he became in the weekend the foreign defender with more games played for Sporting Club de Portugal. Anyway, we know who they are. Atalanta has scored at least 1 goal for 8 consecutive games, and Sporting Lisbon has scored at least 1 goal for 17 consecutive games. Over 2.5 goals. Let's go for it, 179.
It's important to say Taça de Portugal because then, for instance, they can criticize us for saying wrongly Rakov Czestochowa, which I'm
that's
not
true.
sure if it's correct or not. And in this group, they are playing against Sturm Graz. So the Austrian team needs the victory to have options in the last match day in the José Alvalade to get the qualification for the next round. Group E, we are going to skip it because we have Liverpool last. Liverpool to win is only 1.1. It's interesting the Toulouse Union Saint-Gilloise, Dani's friends, but we are going to jump into Group F. And here our stop is in Spain. Again, in Villarreal, they are playing against Panathinaikos. Panathinaikos, the only victory in this competition was actually against Villarreal, but we can already see Álvaro Marcelino's effect, a manager that we praise highly, and they got the victory against Osasuna. This was not happening under the last manager, Pacheta, or they were struggling also with Quique Setién. Remember that they still need to play another game next week against Maccabi Haifa. Winning both games, they will almost secure a spot in the first spot in this group.
Yeah, because Villarreal can even be through with a win this time, but you know, they know that they've got a game in hand and this is a guarantee. One thing that I want to remark here, I have the feeling that the bookies many times, the ones who make the odds basically, they check the previous results and the head-to-heads and their numbers, but sometimes they forget factors like, for example, the new manager factor, because I think that is not right that Villarreal to win pays 2.0. I think that Villarreal, with the new manager, they are going to be clearly better than Panathinaikos, and they have shown already in the
Álvaro,
weekend.
don't tell the bookies. This is why you are here and Dani is here to tell our audience there is value in these odds.
No, I know, but it's already too late for them. Anyway, who knows? Depends on when we drop this video too, now that I think about it. But Villarreal to win 2.0, I like it a lot, really. And, you know, I always put the handbrake on a little bit. Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Villarreal, 172. I love it even better, really. I really think that these odds are fantastic. Villarreal in the weekend, they beat Osasuna with 3 goals from El Comandante, Morales, 2 of them, lovely. I don't know if I like better the second one of Morales or the third one, really, but incredible quality, 36 years old, still going at it. And in the absence of Sorloth and Jeremy Pino has a long-time injury. Morales and Gerard Moreno will play up front, and I'm going to back Gerard Moreno to score here. From all the individual market, I always like Lukaku in the Europa League, but this time doesn't pay too well. And Gerard Moreno this time, he's scoring goals in La Liga, he's providing assists. If you can combine Gerard Moreno to score or assist, go for it if the value is decent. Otherwise, Gerard Moreno to score 2.25. I like it a lot. And Villarreal has to make sure that they progress in the Europa League and they do as many rounds as they can, because this is going to be good for their finances. It looks like via La Liga, they will find it very complicated already to qualify for Europe the next season, because the teams in the top 6, they are playing football very well and hitting a lot of points. So they might not play in Europe the next season. It's very important for them to go through in the Europa League and hit as many rounds as they can. And when it comes to Panathinaikos, they won't be in the top 2 if they lose. They top their league though, but in Europe they are 3rd. We know about that. They got a player who has been probably carrying them a little bit, like Ioannidis, 3 goals in the competition. But generally speaking, I think that this is the time for Villarreal to climb and to start climbing fast. So I'm going to back them. Villarreal to win 2.0.
And I have to say that Álvaro spotted already a lot of value in Villarreal to beat Osasuna, was his tip at the weekend. Dani, I love these odds as well for the Yellow Submarine.
I do as well. You know, Marcelino's back, second spell at the club, so far 2 wins in 2. He needs to change the dynamic, I think, of the club. So it will take a while to change the dynamics. They still suffer a lot. I think against Osasuna, they deserve to win, but Jorgensen had to make a couple of important saves. And, you know, they're coming through a difficult patch. I watched them a few months ago against Rayo Vallecano live, and they seemed to me, they were coming on the back of that defeat against 2-0 against Panathinaikos. They seem to me very, very sluggish. A team that has lost a lot of spark, a bit old, a bit pedestrian. They managed to draw 1-1 that game, but now they won 3 of the last 4 with Villarreal. Still no clean sheets, many clean sheets, only 1 clean sheet in the last 9 against Chicana in the cup. Where is Chicana, by the way?
Chiclana is a great place, Dani, to go on holidays. So mark it.
Okay, all right.
For Villarreal
to keep
Daniele, don't drink too much.
Amazing
No.
place. Amazing.
As
That's
you
where
did in
it-
Torremolinos.
Okay, it's near to Torremolinos. That's nice to know.
Well,
I mean, that's
1
where
hour, 1
that's
hour
where
and-
Villarreal kept the clean sheet, by the way.
No, I'm talking about your experiences in Torremolinos. I'm not saying that Chiclana and Torremolinos are close to each other.
Torremolinos have been 2-3 times in my life, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice place too. Maybe I prefer other parts of Andalusia. Anyway, the last 8 home Europa League matches, by the way, Villarreal, Panathinaikos recently lost to Ran, drew 0-0 with Maccabi. By the way, this is a strange group because 2 teams, Villarreal and Maccabi, still got a game in hand, by the way, so it's a little bit strange. They might not even never play that if everything is settled, because, you know, it happened before with Tottenham once in the Conference League. Panathinaikos only won 1 of the last 17 Europa League games. Yes, I think it's a good time to back Villarreal to win too.
I think it's already scheduled, this game, for next Wednesday, actually.
It's been
Villarreal,
scheduled.
Yes,
Okay.
it's on the
Scrap it.
6th.
Exactly, on the 6th
believe.
at 7
Yeah,
p.m. Local time in Villarreal.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. Okay, good
So
to know.
they will play in this group, as Dani was saying. Gan, they have to play in or against Maccabi Haifa, not in Haifa, against Maccabi Haifa, and if they win, they will be qualified probably. Gan and Villarreal will fight to get the first spot. Let's see if Villarreal make these odds as good as we think and they get the victory. Let's move on to the next group, Group G. Here we have Slavia Prague and Roma fighting for the first spot. Servette with some options, but Mourinho is landing, Dani, in Switzerland with the team already closer to the Champions League spots in Serie A because they are winning the home games. But in Europe, they tend to disconnect when they play away. It happened in the Czech Republic against Slavia Prague. Let's see if they switch on again and beat Servette. In the first leg, we saw how superior Roma is against Servette.
They are. And I think the problem with Roma, they got issues when they play against the big teams in Italy. They only won 5 out of 27 games since Mourinho took charge against big teams in Italy. But when it comes to teams that are middle of the table, lower table, they normally negotiate the games well. Even if they go lapses of concentration, even if they fall behind like they did against Lecce, or they got equalized as they did against Udinese at the weekend, they do find the way of winning. And Mourinho's been really good with substitutions recently. Against Udinese, he put on Bove, gave the assist. El Shaarawy scored. Azmoun is participating much more. And then Lukaku and Dybala on the pitch. Lukaku created the goal for Dybala to give them the 2-1 lead. And they won. Only 2 defeats in the last 10 for Roma, who, by the way, are only 3 points behind Napoli. If they want to achieve top 4, they need to finish top of the group, have as less fixtures as possible to avoid adding more injuries to the one they already have, adding more pressures on the legs of Dybala, Pellegrini, Smalling, Spinazzola, that are always a little bit fragile. By the way, Roma, 3rd best attack in Serie A, 25 goals scored, although they scored 7 against Empoli. They just need a point to qualify. But look at the goal difference against Slavia Prague, because they won 2-0, lost 2-0. So it's the goal difference that's going to be decisive for who finishes top. So that's why Roma needs to start to score more goals in this game and against Sheriff. Servette, on the other hand, won the last 4, unbeaten in 9 games since they got defeated 4-0 at the Olympico, and they only lost 2 home games so far this season, against Slavia Prague and against Young Boys. They scored against Rangers, scored against Genk in the qualifiers. So it is a side that at home knows how to score. I think it's going to be an over 2.5 goals. Very unlike Mourinho, I think they're going to be goals here. 178 for an over 2.5 goals.
Anyway, the straight win for Roma pays well.
Yeah.
Alvaro is 1.9.
That's mine, Edu. Well spotted, Roma to win. They are through with the draw though. So that is the only thing that obviously at some point may not make them go for the second goal, or for the second goal difference, for the 2-goal difference in the game. That could be a possibility, but I'm happy to take the risk. I know that Roma, if they get drawn, or if the opponent equalizes with 10 minutes remaining, they are not going to crazy at it for the second goal. I'm totally aware of that little risk, but I still take it. Roma to win, 187. Romelu Lukaku to score pace 2.0. I think that I mentioned him before, but I guess that he will play, especially with Tammy Abraham being out. Roma has many players in the sidelines, as Daniele said, Smalling, Renato Sanchez, but they've got enough to climb in the Serie A table and especially to qualify here. As I said before, they are through with 1 point. And when it comes to Servette, they are out if they don't win. So they will have to attack if they really want to win the next round of the Europa League, which is something that I guess they want to, but I don't know how much they are willing to do it. Because maybe dropping to the Conference League, it suits better their level. That said, Servette is in a good run because they have come out victorious in the last 6 games. They are unbeaten in 7. But the Europa League has been the tallest wall to overcome for them because they have suffered 2 defeats, 1 draw, and 1 win. So their numbers, again, at home and their numbers in Europe don't mix up very well. Roma to win. I think they are better. And I'm going to go for the plain and simple one here.
I'm surprised about the odds, guys, because we, in the other game, other match in this group, is Sheriff Slavia Prague. Slavia Praga to win is 1.7. So pays lower Slavia Prague to win against Sheriff Tiraspol than Roma to beat Servette. I'm surprised because on paper I would say is much more likely Roma to beat Servette than Slavia Prague to win Sheriff. But perhaps I'm not seeing the things correctly as the bookies are seeing them. But I see value in Roma to win for sure. And the last game we are going to analyze is in Group H. Here, Bayer Leverkusen, they are topping the group with 12 points. Perfect path in the Europa League. They are playing against Haken. But the other game is Molde Qarabag in the cold. I just checked the weather is -6, -7 right now.
Oh, wow.
In Norway, very hot, very warm weather to welcome Qarabag. 6 points for every team. I know Alvaro has been watching Qarabag a lot this season, and perhaps they should get a draw here, Alvaro, in the reverse fixture. We saw another draw. So what do you expect here?
Well, I'm going to back them with an Asian handicap plus 0.75.
No, sorry, lost.
175.
Lost. Molde lost in Qarabag.
Molde, lost in Qarabag, It was Qarabag 1, Molde 0. But Asian handicap plus 0.75 is mine 1. If they lose by 1, you suffer, have a lose. If they draw, you win. And if they win, obviously, you win. I'm going to back Qarabag with that, even though they are playing away. And they are playing in the cold. I don't think that Azerbaijan is a very warm country anyway at this stage of the year. But anyway, it's always, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to that. Qarabag are through with a win. And however, they cannot reach the top spot. And Molde will be through if they beat Qarabag by more than a goal. Because as you mentioned before, Qarabag beat them in the reverse fixture. A draw is better for Qarabag, that's for sure, because they play Haken at home in the last game. That's why I'm going for the positive Asian handicap for them. Molde, for example, in the last game, imagine that they draw this one. Molde in the last game, they are playing against Bayer Leverkusen. And even if Bayer Leverkusen don't care about the last game, they are in such a positive inertia that I find it very difficult that Molde will beat Bayer Leverkusen at this moment in time, really. Qarabag has never qualified for the Europa League knockouts, so they have a chance here. They also recorded 2 clean sheets in the tournament, which is something that maybe points us in the direction of Qarabag being competitive away from home. So, as I said before, for the third time I'm saying this, Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Qarabag, 175.
I'm going to say that it's not going to be easy, Dani. In Baku right now, it's about 10, 12 degrees. In Molde, as I said before,
really?
it's -6. -6. So
Well,
it's
18 degrees
degrees,
difference. Hopefully they bring a scarf. This is a massive game for Molde. Why? Because the Norwegian league is about to finish. There's only 1 game left. They are 5th in the league, despite having the second best attack. So that means they won't play in Europe for the next season. That means they might not play in Europe for 24 months if they don't qualify this time. And if they also, they might play in Europe if they beat Bodo Glimt in the Cup of Norway final on the 9th of December. Otherwise, they won't be in Europe for 24 months because it likes basically 2 seasons running. They're level on points with Qarabag, so they need to get at least a point here and hope Molde to go to Leverkusen on the last game of the group and get a win there, which is very, very difficult. For Qarabag, it's much more easier the route. They need to get a draw here, and then another draw against Haken should see them qualified. Of course, Molde will fall otherwise in the Conference League, but yes, it's next season that is worrying for them. Qarabag, very strangely, goal difference -3, the lowest of all teams in the top 2 positions because they got hammered 5-1 by Leverkusen, but they don't score many. I think it's going to be an over 2.5 goals. I like the double chance for Qarabag, X2 191.
Praise to Molde, by the way. I was checking the population of Molde is 32,000 only, and they've been playing even in the Champions League. So praise to Molde, well done. They
Remember
are
Rosenborg, Edu.
Rosenborg, yeah, Real Madrid played
It's
there
not even the capital.
against Kariu, for instance, in Trondheim. Very tough team to play in the Champions League. I remember Raúl scoring there. Well, this is it. Our trip around Europe end up in the cold Norway. Dani, which one is your safe bet?
We go to Serbia and we go to Bačka Topola. Asian handicap +2 against West Ham, 174.
And Alvaro?
I'm going to stay in a territory I know very well, La Liga. Draw no bet for Villarreal, 147.
In Western Europe. We stay Western.
And Alvaro Lloraca?
It will be Villarreal to win and over 1.5 goals in the game, which is a combination already. Draw no bet for Brighton and a double chance for Betis. Altogether 5-0-4.
Alvaro stays in the Premier League, in La Liga. He knows very well these 2 championships. And Dani, I think he's going to travel a little bit.
AEK Athens, Brighton, both to score. Sparta Prague, Betis, double chance X2. Sturm Graz, a handicap 0 against Rakov Czestochowa. And Toulouse against Union Saint-Gilloise. Cannot miss it. I always put in my account. Both to score. Total odds 577.
Always, we have to keep an eye on Union Saint-Gilloise.
Always, Saint-Gilloise, above the top of the league. In Belgium, they're flying.
Toulouse is struggling in Ligue 1.
Yeah, but they scored 3 against Liverpool.
Exactly.
I mean, both to score.
Well, let me know in the comments if you enjoy the video, your tips, guys. Thank you very much. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.